Get cozy, everybody, because today we'll continue on the game called Cupid. Where were we? Here? Yeah. His palm caressed her neck as he kissed her, sliding down her arm and the curve of her waist. His fingers tugged gently on her skin. Catherine darted her tongue inside his mouth, and Ginemne answered it with his own. She wanted his every kiss. She felt pleasure to know he was hers. Her hands ran up and down his back as their kisses grew heavier. She felt him get excited, and she moved her hand between his legs. Ginemne broke away. Kath, let's stop. You're tired. Catherine looked into his eyes and saw he wanted her despite his protests. After the events of that night, there was a despair in Catherine that longed to be quenched. It was a selfish atonement, perhaps, a hunger for self-worth. She ran her tongue over his lips. I want this. Kath. Catherine straddled him, dipping her head and plunging her tongue deep into his mouth. She opened his shirt, rumbling on his ear as she did. She could feel his manhood alive on her thigh. She moved her hips so the distraught moan left his throat. She bit her tip coyly. It made her want to do more. The clench on his jaw, his aroused breath, the cord on his neck. They were little trophies, her bliss. Catherine pulled his shirt free. She traced a finger down his bare stomach, keeping the rhythm on her hips. He opened his mouth, his eyes fluttering. She watched in ecstasy as he bit his lip. To know that he couldn't resist her made her swell with pride. Ginemne grinded with her. He began to answer her passion with his own energy. Ginemne sat up on the bed, finally reaching for her, finally giving in. It felt like a victory to her. Well, okay. Ginemne grabbed her neck and pulled her face to him. His tongue bored deeply into her. Catherine pulled on his hair, surprised at his sudden intensity. Heat ran through her body. She savored his dominance. His lips ran down her neck to her chest. He sucked on her collarbone while working the buttons on her blouse. He slipped the garment down with his... God damn it, do we have to go in too many detail? Yeah. He slipped the garment down with his teeth and kissed the bare skin experimentally. Every nerve felt tender. Every length of skin felt raw. It was a reminder and awareness that her flesh was a living thing. There was build-up of tension as he squeezed her breast, planting soft, tiny kisses on its fullness right. His hands hovered near her crotch. A stray finger would brush her sensitive spots almost instantly. It drove her mad. He was teasing her, studying her reactions with every touch. Catherine drew a sharp breath as Ginemne sucked on her nipple. His tongue played with it until it was hard and pert right. Catherine felt like a melting candle, hot and ablaze, dripping, thawing in her own heat. Her heart began to pace in time with their kisses, growing steadily heavier, beating louder. From sweet affection to wanton lust. He whispered her name and it sent a violent tremor throughout her skin. It would start in her torso, surging through her, startling the roots of her hair. Okay, how long is this? It just drags on and on. Her throat made short, hurt sounds. She would usually stop here. An irksome apathy would take hold of her, and she would stop. Now, this wasn't like the other times. Catherine felt a hot throbbing at the pit of her stomach. A clench in her body wound her up tighter and tighter, putting her in danger of release. This was different. This was... Do you love me, Catherine? Ginemne, Her voice came out throaty and thick. Ginemne laid her down on the bed. Her finger... maybe I shouldn't... I don't think you should allow this. His fingers slipped easily inside her, the sensation smooth like silk. She felt him moving around inside, pressing on her walls experimentally. It didn't take long for him to find her weakness. He was surprisingly, worryingly adept. Catherine squirmed. She didn't have time to marvel at his expertise. His left hand massaged her breast while the other tickled the lips of her opening. His little finger petted her other hole. Jimnania's lips ran down her shoulder. She barely noticed him slipping another finger inside. When she did, her mind went white for a few seconds. A sharp breath, then a sigh. Her hips were moving on her own, while their tongue flickered and danced. Another heart seemed to beat and throb furiously in her groin. She felt for him. She found his chest stiff under his trousers. She squeezed his stiffness, eager for its girth. Cloth against flesh, soft against hard, lips and teeth, spit and sweat. Holy fuck. Their bodies began to rock together. Their breaths were hot and audible. Janania dug his tongue on the hollow of her neck. Catherine whined. The soft sounds returned to her lips, but Janania covered them with his mouth. Her voice echoed in their heads. She wanted to scream, and the scream would come from very deep. Do you love me? Oh God. Oh God, I love you, she said in an urgent, desperate frenzy. In and out his fingers went, each time touching her places. With every movement he seemed to steal her breath. Faster now. Then she twitched and something snapped inside of her. Her toes curled and a squeal escaped through her nose. Catherine opened her eyes. She caught something alarming as she stared up at him. What? He didn't look like Janania in the shadows, unlit by candlelight. His features were the same, his eyes were in the same place. His nose and lips were the same shape. Oh, fucking shit, this game drags. But this man was a stranger. He did not care for her, like how a snake didn't care for its prey. For a brief second she was afraid. A tiny voice told her to run away, but that voice was washed away by a wave of carnal desire. The stranger grinned at Catherine. Mine. Faster now, deeper his kisses went, as if reaching for something inside her. His weight on her body excited her, but it also felt like a prison. Wait, which is it? Holy fucking shit. Do you enjoy being uncomfortable, you dumb idiot? Run, rabbit. Run, rabbit, run. Oh God. Do I have to get reminded of fucking corpse party again? Catherine viciously devoured his lips. Her hands cruised south, kneading, clutching greedily, her legs draped around his waist. A forced overlooker. A hunger. Here comes the farmer's gun. What? She tried to ignore the growing coldness in Janania's eyes. She tried to ignore the way her body moved on its own. Run, rabbit. Run, rabbit, run. Her hands found the clasp of his trousers and she undid them. Quickly now. Quickly. She clutched his hardness, moving her hand up and down. Catherine's mouth salivated. He bit on her shoulder. She felt more of his teeth than his lips on her body. Catherine scolded herself for being aroused. Her mouthy terror only served to aggravate her urges. She wanted this. I want this. She was hungry. I am hungry. She heard the man snicker. Man snickers. He wants his farmer's pie. So don't stand idly by. Run, rabbit, run. He headed her without warning. Catherine gasped. The shiver was from both pleasure and fear, a dangerous mix. But it was cruel. There was no warmth, just cold, hard greed. And yet she couldn't help but want him. She pushed her hips to move with him. She wanted to please him. Oh, come on. How long is this? Seriously. Oh boy. God damn it. Nothing sucks more than a visual novel that drags its bullshit for on and on and on. She wanted to please him. Slowly at first savored the warmth of this new territory. Then faster, keeping a steady pace. Catherine's voice kept in time. Her breaths were high and hot. With her every movement, Catherine felt her energy wither away. But don't you want this though? Run though, but no. A heady, nauseous feeling of malady clawed at her. Malady. What was missing? What was taken away? She didn't know what was gone until it was. The final scream of protest died in her mind. The last that was felt of her lucidity. The urge to escape left. No more reasons to stop. Catherine moaned. Stop? No, I must not stop. Why did I even think that? What if he'd hate her? It was an agonizing thought. She had to give him more. More. His eyes observed her with cold amusement. Catherine touched his chest in reverence. His eyes were cold, but his body was like fire. What the fuck? Uh-huh. Okay, in her mind's eye, he had started to become something else. A winged creature engulfed in flame, both hot and cold and magnificent, both beautiful and terrible, both dark and light. A god. At times she would be on the bed with a man she might remember she once loved. Other times she would be floating, suspended on a dark chasm of flesh. There was a creature with her, somebody she both loathed and adored. Sometimes there were two people. Sometimes there was only him. Only him. The woman called Catherine didn't exist. She was merely an extension of his mind. Soon all of her would be gone, little by little disintegrating into be a part of him forever. Catherine screamed. She came again with that thought. Oh, bliss. She was prepared to give everything to him. It didn't even seem a worthy sacrifice to lay at his feet. But no, all he asked for was her heart. That small, pathetic thing. It always had been his anyway. She gave it gleefully to the ruler of hearts. He was so generous and considerate. Benevolent. Fair. She savored his fullness inside her body. She worshipped him. He was her god. Oh, god damn it. Holy shit. How dragged out is this? Please want me. Please find me pretty. She craved his love above anything else. Above fear and confusion. Oh, God. Above the mourning and something precious lost. Love me, please. Love me. She begged. I'll do anything for you. Anything? His lips did not move, save for a smile. The words simply dropped in her head, echoed, and took root. Catherine's eyes lost their glimmer. Anything. Then tell me again. I want to hear it. What? What? Do you love me, Catherine? Her name on his lips was the only reminder of her former self. I do. I love you. I love you so much. With these words, she felt him stiffen inside her. He moved faster, aroused by her devotion to him. A wave of fire burned his lips as their mouths entwined. His passion heightened, his back arched. Sweat beaded on his forehead and traced his temple. What a wondrous sight. He was ice? Oh, okay. He was ice beginning to thaw, a sun on the verge of eclipse. His coldness replaced by a radiating heat that melted and fastened her to him like fire with metal. She felt another orgasm threaten her insides. Oh, God, when is this gonna end? Really, do you love me? Yeah. She screamed. Yeah. The candle fizzled out. Beneath the depths of her hazy mind, she was relieved she didn't have to look at his face. She tasted just like the richest chocolate, the finest wine. I can't stop. My whole body shivers with the taste of her breath on my neck, fingers scratching up my back. The sound she makes as I push into her. Her lust gives me sustenance to move faster, to devour her faster. Stop. I knew waiting so long would be worth it. I have been her lover for years, and this flavor is divine. My head spins. My appetite swells. I can't stop. I bind her hands into a tight grip, push them above her head. Her legs squeeze my waist. I can feel her excitement mounting with her helplessness. I lick my lips in delight. I haven't breathed so deeply for a long time. God damn. 15 minutes of this garbage. Oh boy. You're taking too much. Her love is exquisite. It is laced with anger, reverence, disappointment, pain, memories. It look like menstruations. All different relishes and morsels melding into one. Stop it. Her love is a delicacy. You're destroying her. I can't stop myself. I haven't tasted this kind of love for so long. Flirtatious and physical attraction can only get me by for so long. I was going to wait. There is a waning in her love. confusion, and doubt. But that helping of guilt changed the flavor perfectly. I must feed now. Her love is the most perfect tonight. My body wants her. Couldn't stop now even if I wanted to. Liar. I almost let you escape. To save her. I almost ran away. I love her. I love her. And tomorrow, maybe, what will become of her? I will find another. Next time. Something insignificant. I want to relish this taste a bit more. No. No. The mounting pleasure in my bones clamps on my groin. The numbness spreads to my stomach. It's almost painful. It quads me. What? It goads me to increase my rhythm, and she follows my lead. Good girl, good girl. With every move, I feel her love osmose into my other mouth. I think osmose. I don't know. She clings to me. Her moans louder. Her bare chest glistens with sweat. She is beautiful. It won't be long now. Final drawing of breath. Do you love me, Catherine? Give me all your love. All of it. Give it to me. I want it all. It's mine. Mine. Catherine, give me more. I want more. 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 Are we done? Oh, boy. Rosa stood in front of the door to Catherine's room, her hand raised to knock. She hesitated. That night, Catherine and her kissed. The sweet feelings mixed with the horrid feeling of hunger irritated her grossly, making Rosa feel sick and confused. What happened? She didn't know what it could have been, but it was both familiar and utterly alien, like an instinct. A shiver ran down her spine at the memory. But before she must confront Catherine first. She's avoiding me, isn't she? She hadn't seen Catherine for a few days since that night. She had been spending a lot of her time alone, locked away in her room. Whenever Rosa saw her in the chateau, she would excuse herself and leave. Rosa never got the courage to push the issue. But days had passed and Catherine's behavior began to worry her even more. She is selfish just like she's probably repulsed by you. What did you expect? After what you did to her, you little monster. Of course she will avoid you like the plague. No matter. She's never going to love you like Mother does. Like all of the others, she's going to leave you in the end, and then you're all alone. Only Mother will stay with you forever and love you. So be a good child and listen to what I tell you. Rosa bit her lower lip. This was all her fault, wasn't it? She needed to make it right. If Rosa talked to her properly, she was sure they would come to an understanding. She had to explain to her. What exactly? They had both been drunk and the kisses didn't mean anything. Her stomach churned at this thought. In the end, it didn't matter what Rosa wanted. Catherine obviously regretted what had happened. She didn't want to lose her friend because of a drunken mistake. Rosa gently knocked on Catherine's door. Oh, great, now the neighborhood dogs are awake, but I don't care. Catherine, may I come in? Please, Catherine, I'm sorry for the mess, but can we talk? Rosa waited for an answer. None came. Rosa turned the handle slowly and entered. Usually Catherine's room was brightly lit. The windows let in a fresh breeze, often carrying the sweet smell of flowers in spring. Right now, however, the curtains were drawn closed. The few candles burning on a desk weren't enough to banish the darkness completely. The air hung heavy in the room. Catherine didn't turn around when the door opened. She just stood there unmoving in front of a wall. The sound of something scratching along a rough surface filled the air. Rosa felt a shiver run down her spine at this sound, and her muscles tensed instinctively. She approached Catherine slowly and apprehensively. As she came closer, she could hear that Catherine was whispering the same few words over and over again. He loves me. He loves me not. Catherine giggled. He loves me. He loves me not. Catherine, are you all right? Rosa stepped next to Catherine and peered at her outstretched hand. In the dim light, it took a moment for her to make sense of what she saw. Ooh, that's a lot of blood. Catherine was scratching at the wall. The damage she had done to the wall was nothing compared to what she had done to her fingers. And she played piano as well. Damn. They were dripping with blood from where her skin was cracked and peeled back. Kath? Oh my god, Catherine, stop! Rose's guts twisted horribly. She grabbed Catherine's shoulder to turn her around, away from the wall. She blinked a couple of times before finally reacting to Rose's presence. Tears welled up in Catherine's bloodshot eyes at the sight of her friend, spilling over her pale cheeks and chapped lips. She held on tightly to Rose and started sobbing uncontrollably. Kath, what's going on? Why are you hurting yourself? Catherine tried to pull herself together as best as she could, wiping her nose on the sleeve of her bloody dress. No blood there. It was heartbreaking to look at the mess that her friend had become. Oh, Rosa, you need to help me. You need to protect me from him. Don't let him touch me. Who? Let him what? Why do you need me to protect you? Suddenly, Catherine stretched a finger to her lips, and with a scared expression on her face, she leaned near towards the door and listened intently for a moment. Oh, he's here? The scared expression turned into manic and frightening glee. I think he's coming. Giname, honey. Giname, I love you. After yelling the last words, Catherine started sobbing again, with more tears streaming down her face. Before Rosa could try to console her, however, her sobs faded into hysterical laughter. It barely left time for her to gasp for breath. Oh, Jananya, I love the way you pull me close to hug me. And how kind you are to everyone you meet. And your eyes. What's going on here? Jananya stood in the door, frowning. His eyes wandered across the room and caught sight of Catherine. His face froze in shock. Catherine stared wide-eyed for a second, then she snarled at him like a ferocious animal. You bastard, get out of my room! Get lost! She stormed over to the desk and grabbed the letter opener from the table. With this weapon in a firm grip and malice in her eyes, she rushed to Jananya. Wait, what? Don't you dare show your face to me. Catherine, no. The knife plunged into Jananya's arms. Blood quickly stained the sleeve red, but Catherine only recoiled to strike back with no hint of stopping. Oh my god. Catherine. They wrestled for a moment until Jananya was able to grab Catherine's hand. She dropped the letter opener and slumped to the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. Rosa quickly picked up the blade and stepped out of reach. Oh god. When she turned around again, Jananya had already pulled Catherine into a tight embrace. Between her sobs and hiccups, Rosa could hear her apologizing. Oh god, I'm so sorry, Jananya. What? I'm so sorry, do you love me? Please, Jananya, do you love me? She repeated the question over and over again, no matter how many times Jananya reassured her. It was probably a good idea to find something to calm her down. Rosa didn't feel completely at ease doing so, but she left her friend alone with the Marquise for a few minutes. Later, she returned with a glass of water laced with valerian root. Jananya already coaxed Catherine to lie down on her bed, while Rosa helped her drink the nightcap. They watched her in silence as she drifted into a fitful sleep. Jananya and Rosa left the room. They didn't speak for a while, both still dazed and shocked by the turn of events. How is your arm? Jananya hid the injured arm away from view. Fine. Just a scratch. The bleeding hadn't stopped, yet Rosa could tell the cut was deeper than Jananya let on. What is happening? What has gotten into Catherine? Jananya just shrugged with a cold expression of worry on his face. I wish I knew, Rosa. The state she is in scares me, to be honest. It might be an onset of an episode waiting to happen, like her sister before. Rosa's mouth tightened. How dare you say that? She's not crazy. Rosa searched his face for traces of a lie, but it was like a mask contorted by worry. She couldn't tell whether he was lying or telling the truth. Did you know what she said to me? She asked me to protect her from you. What did you do to her, Jananya? Did you hurt her? You know I wouldn't. I didn't do anything. All I know is that she is unwell, and I am somehow the target of her psychotic state. That's it. But why? Stop. Stop it, Rosa. It hurts me too, seeing her like this. Please stop questioning me further. I'm going to call for a physician. Please stay with her in the meantime. See that she doesn't harm herself again. For a moment he met her eyes. Before she could say more, however, he turned around and left. See if his pants have caught fire yet, child. There was nothing she could do about him tomorrow. Rosa left to get a bowl of fresh water and a towel to tend to Catherine's fingers. Catherine had an uneasy sleep while Rosa cleaned her wounds as best as she could. She muttered, squealed, and whimpered like a child. It seemed that she was having a nightmare, but Rosa didn't dare wake her before the physician arrived. Instead, she stroked her hair, told her everything would be all right. She tried to appease the growing confusion of voices in her head. What had happened between Catherine and Jimena? The relationship was often erratic, but Rosa dismissed the possibility that this was one of their usual fights. Rosa remembered Catherine's face filled with utter spite at the man. She had never seen that much hatred in Catherine. After a few minutes, Catherine's eyelids fluttered open. She looked around with some confusion, then her gaze settled on Rosa. Tears welled up in her eyes. Rosa. She held her outstretched head. Her heart broke when she saw Catherine wince. Oh, Rosa, I'm so scared. Everything is such a mess. It's going to be alright, Kath. Don't worry now. Just try to sleep some more. No, you don't understand. Catherine tried to sit up, but Rosa pushed her down gently. You need to rest, Kath. I hate him. This is all his fault. She sniffed but settled down on her pillow once more. When she spoke again, it was in a whisper. Rosa, She chewed on her dry chapped lips for a moment, as if she couldn't get the words out. I don't think I love him anymore. What? A dry sob escaped her, followed by tears rolling down her cheeks. Had Catherine really just said that? But I don't understand this. When I think of him, Her voice cracked. She shuddered under the blanket like an ill breeze that had just sprung up in the room. It's like bugs are crawling under my skin. Oh, okay. Can't bear to look at him anymore. I just can't. I can't even say his name. Why? Do you remember when exactly you started feeling this way? That night. Rosa winced. Catherine covered her face with her hands. It was a horrible night. Rosa's chest hurt. Was this her fault? She didn't know what she had done, but didn't she do something to her? I'm sorry. Catherine went on like she hadn't heard her. I went to his room. We spent the night together. Rosa waited for Catherine to continue, but the girl stared blankly. She just stopped speaking as if forgetting she ever spoke at all. Kath, did he hurt you that night? No. Maybe. Catherine shook her head. I don't know. She grabbed her head and sobbed. The grip on Rosa's heart tightened. How could this be? Her eyes drowned in tears. I love him, Rosa. Don't I? I remember everything. I love him. I know I do. I'm sure I do. But I hate him too, to the very core. I want to hurt him and punish him. For something. I want to snuff out the breath from his throat. But sometimes Catherine's eyes went blank. I just don't care for him at all. Sometimes I feel nothing. Nothing at all. And that scares me more. She laid on the bed, quiet now, letting her tears flood out her eyes without wiping them. I'm going mad, Rosa. Catherine, I am, aren't I? Like my sister, like my mother. It runs in our blood. They said I am a child of a mad woman. They said I'm going to turn out exactly like her. Rosa stroked her hair and tried her best to soothe her, saying that everything would be all right. They were empty words, but she didn't know what else to say. She wanted them to be true so badly, for her friend's sake as well as her own. Was Junior really the cause of Catherine's confusion and pain? Pangs of guilt pricked her like tiny needles. Or was this her fault? Rubbish, you fool! This was all his fault. I could feel it. We must get to the bottom of this. Yes, Mother. Rosa looked down at her best friend and nodded slightly to herself. Everything will be alright, Catherine, I promise. She would make it alright somehow. But she had to. The physician arrived shortly, but he did little to help Catherine. Catherine never regained her personality. She remained moody and irritable, breaking out into fits of hysterical laughter or heartbreaking sobs at seemingly random intervals. Janania and Rosa would take turns to tend to her. Her moods fluctuated, her temper uncontrollable. There were times she begged for attention from Janania, almost clinging to him in despair, never letting him out of her sight. Other times she couldn't stand his very presence. Soon neither Janania nor Rosa could console her anymore. She withdrew entirely from the household. She starved herself, stopped eating, stopped caring for herself. Her manic episodes degraded to long stretches of blank silence. Emptiness ruled her life. Looking at her eyes in those last days, she was like a fire had been snuffed out behind them. Like the star had been shining through had imploded. Yeah, okay. Psyche, punish him. Rose's hand were over her head. She pressed herself into a corner, panting. She has never heard Mother this loud before. Punishment! The world ran around her skull and made her vision blur. Mother, what more do you want? The spell is ready. Already. She bent her head, blank spots creeping into the edge of her vision. She was so tired. You cannot hide anything from me. What is this doubt you're nursing? You are hesitating. You are crafting another spell. You stupid harlot. That filthy marquis is exactly the kind of monster I've been warning you about. You dare plan behind my back? I just don't want to kill anymore, Mother. She couldn't help but answered back this time. How could she not? After years felt beloved acceptance, it made her realize all the more how precious life was. The thought of snuffing out somebody else's life sent a detestable shiver through her bones. She had planned on running away from this place, abandoning whatever duty that now fell on her hands. Well, why was it her duty anyway? She just wanted to make the good memories of this place and taint them no longer. Whatever truth she sought wasn't enough payment for peace. I don't wanna. Her voice shook. I don't want to kill him, Mother. I don't want to kill anyone, please. Is this cowardice or stupidity? Yeah, sure. Yep. I'm gonna end it here. This is Cupid. Holy fuck, this game really drags. Try the game for yourself. The links are in the description. That is all for today. Stay safe and take care of yourselves.